Welcome back, everybody. We are now going to start our exciting moment. The digital pitch teams will now start their pitch sessions. We're going to have 4 sessions throughout the day with the top 12 digital health startups in Europe today. And they will all have the same rule games to follow. Each pitcher will have 5 minutes to pitch. That will be followed by 5 minutes Q&A with our international jury. And the jury will make their notes and give a mark after the pitch has been given each time. So there will be a continuous process. We are very, very happy to welcome the 12 pitch startups for this Digital Health Day. And we wish everybody the best of luck and to say, believe in your pitch and have a great time. Now, this morning, we're going to begin by meeting our CEO and co-founder of a startup in the UK. We're going to meet Brendan Staunton, Amara Therapeutics. So good morning, Brendan. Nice to meet you.
Morning.
Good morning. So you will have now 5 minutes to pitch. Have a great time.
Thank you.
The floor is yours, Brendan.
At Amara Therapeutics, we are pioneering a new treatment for overactive bladder. Imagine you're out for dinner with some friends. One second now. Jumping ahead. Imagine you're out for dinner with some friends. You're having a great time and the conversation is flowing. All of a sudden, you get an overwhelming urge to use the bathroom. You leave the table, but you don't make it in time. Your trousers are now soaking wet. Your face is red with embarrassment. Your evening ruined and your confidence shattered. For patients who have overactive bladder, or OAB, experiences like this are all too common. This condition affects every facet of a person's life. It disrupts their work life, sleep, social life, and sexual relationships. They have higher levels of depression and anxiety. And between the EU and US, there are over 52 million people living with this condition. It's caused by a signaling problem between the brain and the bladder. The good news is the bladder is highly trainable and adaptable, and we can make massive improvements in its functioning. How? Behavioral therapy. It's the recommended first-line treatment, and it's clinically proven to be safe and highly effective. It involves a series of bladder retraining exercises delivered by a pelvic health physiotherapist. The bad news is you could wait months, or in some cases years, for an appointment due to a massive lack of specialists. As a result, many patients are offered medication. Meds are not as effective as behavioral therapy, and there's another problem: side effects. Dry mouth, dizziness, constipation, and even mental confusion. Due to a lack of other options, there are still 18 million prescriptions written for OAB annually in the US alone. We developed Resolve to give patients and clinicians another choice. Resolve is a digitally delivered behavioral intervention that provides a safe, effective, and accessible treatment. It's been developed by world-leading experts from the University of British Columbia, Galway University Hospital, and University College London. Resolve guides patients through an 8-week intervention that includes behavioral therapy, psychology, physiotherapy, and dietetics. Therapy is delivered in conversational style one-to-one videos just like this. I was saying there, but I'm not sure it's going through. I'll move on anyway. For clinicians, Resolve gives them a powerful tool: information. We use artificial intelligence to collect, analyze, and visualize key treatment and progression metrics, empowering clinicians to do something they currently cannot do, which is make data-driven care decisions. In the US, there are 14 million managed patients, and in the EU, there are 9 million managed patients. The total cost, over $70 billion annually. OAB medication can cost over $5,000 per annum. Resolve costs $1,250 per annum, $750 for the initial 8-week intervention, and $50 per month after that for maintenance and refresher sessions. Just this week, we completed an observational study across 3 different hospitals in Ireland. The study is a major step towards approval as a Class 2 medical device, and we showed a reduction in OAB symptoms across all patients. During the trial, one of the patients said, "This happens when me feel that I'm not alone with my problem, and there is someone there who totally understands what I'm going through." And a clinician described the use of the data as groundbreaking. Our immediate goal is to raise a seed round of €3 million, followed by the completion of a large US-based pivotal trial with our US partners, the MedStar Health Research Institute. Following on from a successful trial, we will submit both FDA and CE applications and aim to be market ready for Q1 2024, where we will raise the Series A to fully commercialize. At Amara Therapeutics, we have a world-class team. My own background is in medical device commercialization, and I hold master's degrees in bioinnovation and business administration. Our Chief Scientific Officer, Dr. Emma Carr, is a health psychologist with extensive experience in digital health interventions. And our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jeff Condiff, is a world-renowned gynecologist and former president of the American Urogynecological Society. We're joined by a strong team of commercial, technical, clinical, and regulatory specialists. We're the first digital therapeutic for overactive bladder. Please join us on our journey to give OAB sufferers another choice, a treatment that is accessible, safe, and effective. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brendan, for your great pitch to start off our session this morning. Let's now meet our jury for the first pitch of the day. Good morning to the jury. Good, we can see them on screen, I believe. So, who would like to start by asking a question? And if you can raise your hands and then launch your question. Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Susie Roof. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
very much,
presentation.
Susie.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your presentation. My question is, so the piloting this digital solution, how far can you go with, I wouldn't say the patients, but these citizens with these challenges? I mean, how far do they experience that the tool can help them? So a little bit more about the results in using this digital tool.
Yeah, so I suppose the whole clinical rationale behind our approach is that in clinical studies, behavioral therapy has been proven to be more effective and safer than medication. So what we've done is essentially taken that clinical evidence, digitized it, and also added in our own elements. So we've also contributed CBT elements to it. So we don't just look after the physical elements of the condition with the behavioral therapy and the bladder retraining. We also take a holistic approach with cognitive behavioral therapy and working on the mental element of the condition, which is quite prominent. In terms of our trial, it was a preliminary trial with 30 patients. We reduced symptoms in 100% of patients, and that was seen as a significant reduction. And also we improved quality of life in 82% of patients. So again, preliminary results, and we're building up towards a larger study of about 350 patients in the US next year.
Okay, thank you.
Natalie?
Yes, I have a question. Are you intending to replace actually face-to-face interactions, or is this going to supplement? So are you going to actually save costs, on the overall patient treatment? I mean, the face-to-face biofeedback sessions, are they going to be replaced completely by this app?
Biofeedback is really useful for stress urinary incontinence, which is something that overactive bladder sometimes gets confused with. Overactive bladder, it's less about pelvic floor contractions and more about behavioral bladder retraining and bladder retraining exercises. So one of the reasons we chose OAB is that we think we can actually provide the same level of care digitally. And as I said, we're not only treating the physical side of the condition, we're also using CBT to cater for the mental elements of the condition. There's a lot of fear with this condition. If someone has an episode of incontinence in public, that fear stays with them, and it can be hard to get out of those behaviors. So that's something we do a lot of work on. So yes, to answer your question, all the guidelines state behavioral therapy should be the first line of treatment. it's very difficult to access one-to-one care due to a lack of specialists. So we want to provide an accessible, immediate way for patients to access this care.
Go ahead. Yes, please go ahead. Can you also give us your name?
Yes, hi, I'm Sonia Wilkins, and I'd like to ask, maybe I have missed it, but how do I get, as a patient, how do I get the access to your treatment? Is it over a doctor and he gives me an access, or is it my private, yeah, do I do this, do I have to find you when I'm, have this problem and find you?
Yeah, so there are a number of different routes to market with a product like this. We've chosen to go within the healthcare system and have it as a prescription digital therapeutic. So what that means is that when a patient goes to a clinician, there's an assessment and a preliminary diagnosis of overactive bladder is made. What happens today is the clinician will probably try and find behavioral therapy, large waiting list. They'll probably reach for the prescription pad and prescribe a medication. What we want to do is be at that decision point, where instead they can log on and prescribe our platform in 2 clicks with the patient's email. The patient gets a link to their phone, and then from there they can access the app. And then with the clinician dashboard, the clinician can then track the patient throughout the initial 8-week intervention and measure things like adherence, progression, and also get an indication of symptom severity through the data that we collect via the intervention.
Catherine?
Please, so I'm Catherine Bull. Please tell you a little bit more about your management team, please.
Yeah, so myself, my own background is in medical device commercialization, and I've worked in medical devices for the last nearly 10 years. My colleague, Dr. Emma Carr, is a health psychologist who specializes in digital health interventions, so running large-scale digital trials. And our other co-founder and chief medical officer is Professor Jeffrey Cundiff. So he's the professor of obstetrics and gynecology at the University of British Columbia. And he's also the former president of the American Urogynecology Society, so a key opinion leader in the space.
Very good. Okay, we've had our 5 minutes. We have to wrap up. Thank you very much, Jury and Brendan. Thank you. Let's now move to France. And we are going to be meeting now the COO and co-founder of Avatar Medical, Elodie Briand-Litzler. Good morning, Elodie. Very nice to meet you. Glad to have you at Catapult. So there are 5 minutes for you to pitch. The floor is yours. So Elodie, we think you are on mute. Could you please open your mic?
Yes, it's okay. And the
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, you have 5 minutes to pitch.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So I'm Elodie. I'm the CEO of Avatar Medical. It's a French spin-off from Institut Pasteur and Institut Curie. We unlock the power of medical images for surgeons. How? So surgeons, when they're preparing what to do in the operating room, they will look at the radiology images of their patients. However, using tools that have been designed for radiologists, like this. They see 3D in slices. Here we are looking at a breast cancer MRI where you could see a tumor appearing in the right breast. And in fact, we will replace this type of representation by this. A 3D avatar of the patient. If you could launch the movie, please. Yes, so in fact, we are looking at the same data, and using a virtual reality headset, the surgeons will dive into the image. They will apply filters to highlight the details they need to see, like the tumor shapes, the architecture of the vessels, and using virtual reality, they will interact with the image, like here with these scissors, and they will ultimately figure out the best surgical strategy for their patients. But you may say, okay, 3D has been around for a while, so what's new? Yes, flat 3D on 2 screens has been around for a while, but surgeons need more. They need real 3D, they work in 3D. And that's why there are now so many 3D printing companies in that space. With virtual reality, we are addressing the same need for real 3D, but digitally, instantaneously. Also, these competing technologies, they use a technique called segmentation that will place surfaces, cutting crucial information. Avatar technology is lossless. We keep every pixel. We reveal more details, such as fine connection between the ventricles of a child's heart here, and also because of virtual reality, we are genuinely 3D and interactive. The surgeon will get a better analysis, an efficient memory retention in the OR, leveraging here on the fact that the human brain is made to work in 3D. Also, an improved collaboration with the radiologist for a higher productivity with lower stress, saving time in the planning, potentially saving time in the operating room. How can we be so sure? Well, we did a study at the breast cancer surgery department of Institut Curie involving 18 surgeons. They looked at 90 breast cancer MRIs, either using their standard technique or Avatar Medical. We were 4 times faster. We were reducing mistakes in tumor numbering or precise localization by 25%. It was even more for younger surgeons. Let me walk you now through a clinical case to demonstrate the patient impact. This is the story of a patient that came to Curie and was diagnosed a bad breast cancer. Enora, the surgeon in charge, was thinking she would have to remove the entire breast. But looking at the image, again, with Avatar Medical, she could see that these big tumors were in fact all located in a very same quadrant of the breast. And then it led her to decide to perform a partial mastectomy, less risky for the patient. It's not only about breast cancer. We have a platform technology. We are investing other applications in sarcoma surgery, kidney aneurysm, congenital heart diseases, and much more, some of them with very promising results. We will deliver the technology to the world by selling software licenses directly to hospitals, but we will also look for white label deals with bigger companies to act their sales force. Here is the plan. 2020, we were created. 2021, we got first sales as a research and education platform. 2022 and beyond, the sales will scale because we're going to get the regulatory approval, FDA first, CE then, and the revenue will double thanks to these white label deals. We have raised 2 million so far, and we are looking for 3 additional now. Here is the team, serial entrepreneur co-founders, and a team which is based in France and the US from day one. So this is Avatar Medical. We will deliver better surgeries to patients, shorter, safer, more successful, unlocking the power of medical images for surgeons.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Elodie, for your very powerful presentation. Great. Let's now bring in the jury so that we can have their questions, please. Who would like to start? I think Diane, then Miguel.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I'm Diane Lejeune, and I have a question. I actually have 2 questions, if that's allowed for you. I would like you to comment a bit more on the results. You mentioned indeed that you have that you're going faster, for example. Can you comment a bit more in details on that? And also, I would like to hear from you about the equipment needed at the hospital, basically, to be able to use your technology.
Okay, so the study as described has been published in the Journal of Clinical Oncology last month. We, in fact, let the surgeon look at the images with the technology and using as much time they think necessary to have a good understanding. So that's the time measured. And in fact, this time measured was 4 times less when using Avatar Medical, reducing it to like 1-2 minutes, while they would take more 10 minutes using the PACS. So your second question is about the equipment. So the software run on standard IT equipment. So in fact, we are recommending the equipment as a minimal requirement for the software. Currently, we are using a professional NVIDIA workstation and the HP Last Reverb headset for the deployment in the hospital.
Miguel, please go ahead and ask your question. Good morning.
Thank you, Elodie, and congrats on the project. I was curious about how much time does it take from where the time the images are gathered to the moment the doctor can actually navigate through the 3D model and address the state of the patient, and also how segmentation was addressed in order to identify areas of interest in the image gathered. Thank you.
So, in fact, that's a differentiating factor of Avatar. We are almost instantaneous. You will download the image directly from the PACS. We are, in fact, connecting it to the PACS of the hospitals, and it would take maybe 10 seconds to create the avatar. Of course, it depends on the power the computer has, but if people follow our recommendations at the time, it would take. Contrary to competing technology, where you will have to send an image over, wait for some hours to get the results. And your question about segmentation, in fact, the power of Avatar Medical is that it doesn't use it. It used raycasting. And so we do not have to place these surfaces to create the 3D models. So which means we don't have to make a choice about where to place it. We are in fact modelizing a ray of light diffusing through the entire pixels. And we're keeping them all, meaning that for all anatomical structure for which the borders are not so well defined and it's not so easy to place a surface, you can make mistake placing a surface, like for instance, the borders of a tumor. The doctors find that we are much more relevant than the tools they had access to using segmentation.
Lovely. Natalie, your question, please.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I think you have a lot of competition in the domain, and also because you're not combining the visualization tool with the therapy, and you're doing a lot of things. I'm worried that you might, go in a lot of directions, and that you have a lot of competition. So how are you seeing this?
So yes, we have a lot of competition. Technologically speaking, they 95% use segmentation and have this problems with specific medical questions. So of course we are then going in those medical fields where we have the competitive advantage on the technology. The natural way to go also for us is to then address this market by finding the right medtech partners that would work in the medical field where we have more impact, and then develop the technology with them to potentially then be acquired by a company like this. And in fact, we are seeing deals happening of this medtech company acquiring 3D technologies, but some of these medtech companies don't have acquired a solution yet. So that's the plan, and we are one of the alternatives available out there, which is still available.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Jury and Elodie, for your questions. Time's up. Let's now move to Belgium. And we are going to meet Ingrid Brands. Ingrid is the CEO and co-founder of the startup BioStrand. Good morning. Good morning, Ingrid.
Good morning.
Good morning. Very nice to have you at the digital semi-finals. Please go ahead. You now have 5 minutes to pitch. The floor is yours.
Okay, good morning to you all. It's a pleasure to pitch to you. This is the data on the galaxy. It's huge. This is omics data. DNA, RNA, proteins, the building blocks of life, and these data are only expanding. So that must be great for precision medicine, for drug discovery, right? It isn't. No, why not? Well, current technologies can only crunch a portion of it. It's too big, it's too fragmented, too complicated. The result, we lose out on a lot of valuable information. So what does that, for instance, mean in antibody drug discovery? Well, from a lot of possible candidates, you have to pick there the best ones to go further test in the lab. So you have to predict which antibodies cause autoimmune reactions, which antibodies cross-react with other organisms, or which antibodies are highly likely to have adverse effect. To do this, you have to compare the sequences of these antibodies with all kinds of other organisms. Next, please. Next. And typically, these are humongous amounts of combinations. So what do people do well, in fact, they reduce the search space. So that means that they only look at a limited amount of data sets, a limited amount of organisms. And even then, it takes them days. With us, you can compare across all organisms. We even include a literature check across all the PubMed abstracts. And all it takes is minutes. Minutes to check all the data there is and build your antibody selection with maximum confidence. So with BioStrand, you really do de-risking of your early stage drug discovery. We integrate text data and sequence data, and it's an ultra-scalable solution. Because we take all the information there is and we make it meaningful, we are the Google of genetics. Our playground is the bioinformatics market and the AI drug discovery market. Today, we're $12 billion, by 2027, $30 billion. Our technology goes far beyond digital health. It's a platform applicable across many industries, from pharma to biotech to agrotech, food tech and cosmetics, population genomics, CROs, and sequencing labs. They all have to crunch these big omics data. And you might be thinking, well, they might have trouble servicing all of these diverse markets. In fact, technically, it's no problem at all. We use the same underlying technology to serve all these markets. It's one model. And what is more, we also use only a very small computational footprint. And that guarantees flexibility and scalability. We are also well aware that we have to focus in our go-to-market. And that's why we concentrate on early stage solutions for vaccine development, antibodies, microbiome analysis in Europe and the USA. The platform has the setup of a marketplace with different components and analysis capabilities. The main business model is platform as a service. Companies buy a yearly license, and on top of that comes a fee for compute and storage. In drug development, we use co-development licenses or partnerships. Entrepreneurship is really in our DNA. CTO and co-founder is a repeat entrepreneur in bio-IT. I have a medical background and 20 years experience in management and research. Our board is packed with leaders of industry and also academia. We were founded in 2019, filed a patent, showed, next please, did pilot projects with several companies to show product market fit and validated our algorithms with academia. So we have proven product market fit, strong IP position, and a proven track record. So now it's time to expand. And that's why we are raising 8 million euros to expand the platform capabilities, build commercial team, and do a subsidiary in the USA. Let's accelerate the BioStrand story.
Thank you very much indeed, Ingrid, for your exciting pitch this morning. So let's bring in our jury for the third session of questions Q&A. Who would like to kick off, please, with their first question? Go ahead, Susie.
Thank you, Ingrid, very much for your presentation. I would like a little bit more elaboration on, you mentioned pilots. So what kind of pilots have you done? Just one example of what kind of results have you obtained by doing a pilot?
Well, for instance, the pilot project was with an agrochemical company, and there we did two things. First was they used our software, and that enabled them to really do a lot of bioinformatics analysis themselves while there were no experts at all. So previously they were forced to source that out and make other people do it as a service. Now they can do it themselves. And secondly, we also did some research on a molecule that they were developing for crop protection. So that's where our technology was also used for.
Thank you.
Sonia, I believe you have a question. No?
No.
Okay, Catherine. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm curious about how the data is handled in terms of where is data stored, how it is processed, and how was the evaluation of the impacts of data protection performed.
Yeah, so that's a very good question because we can handle diverse types of data. So on the one hand side, of course, you have lots of public data, and then we can combine that with proprietary data. And of course, we make sure that on the platform, there is really a Chinese wall behind that. So that data are very secured for every client, that they are in a separate container with all the necessary privacy and rules set up. And then, of course, if it's really patient-related data, non-anonymized, then, of course, all the GDPR rules apply. And then we make sure that we have the necessary protocols and everything that is, that needs to be in place for that. And then, of course, you have this sequence data, public and proprietary, and we combine that also with text data. And that might be literature, but it also can be text from electronic patient records, from internal documentation that you have, and we all integrate that into our system. We make a very big index of that, and because we make an index of that, it's very well structured, and then ideally presented to go further with AI and the machine learning techniques.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your question, Sonia.
Okay. Thank you. So can you please tell us a little bit more about the business model? So how is who is paying? Do I pay for the access to your database, or is it on how much I'm searching, how for a longer time or a period, or is it, yeah, so.
Yeah, so the main business model is platform as a service. And there we have different components, different kinds of analysis. So there you decide what you need. So you can also use it in conjunction with software that you already have. And it comes with a yearly license. So your company buys you a yearly license. So we have models, let's say, different tiers. And that's the basic license. And then on top of that, comes a fee for compute and for storage. But the nice advantage that we have is that we operate at a very low computational footprint. So we have much room to lower our prices and be very affordable, which makes it very attractive for clients.
Thank you. We have time. Yes, go ahead. We have one more question. Catherine?
You tell us what do you stand in terms of revenue today?
Well, as I said, we did some early adopter pilot projects, so we have some revenue generated, but it's really early stage. And now we are ready to move on and really take a big leap in terms of commercial development, build a commercial team, hire commercial people, digital marketeers and stuff like that to really make the next step. And that's why we also want to go to the United States, because there is a very important market and we need to be present there.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. We've running now out of time for our questions there. Thank you very much, Ingrid, and to the jury this morning. So far in the digital health semi-finals, we have met 3 startups. Let's remember who they are. From the UK, we met Amara Therapeutics, which is developing a prescription digital therapeutic platform for the treatment of overactive bladder. In France, we met Elodie at Avatar Medical. They are leveraging virtual reality and standard medical images to instantly create realistic to scale patient avatars for surgeons to use in preoperative planning. And in Belgium, we have just met BioStrand, and BioStrand is on a mission to make omics data analysis truly effective in digital health. Now we are going to take a break. We are going to, of course, meet again at 11:40. And during that time, of course, please go to our matchmaking platform to make meetings, book meetings, and of course to share your views, images, comments on hashtag EITH Catapult. We look forward to seeing you at 11:40 when we will be meeting the next 4 top startups in digital health in Europe today. So stay with us for the digital health semi-finals. See you at 11:40. Thank you.